Hi, I'm Lee Strobel. So many people in our culture today, including maybe yourself, people who are Christians, people who are spiritual seekers, are becoming confused about the identity of the real Jesus. The reason is, in our culture today, in popular books, on the internet, and in college classrooms, we are hearing fresh attacks on the Jesus that Christianity has worshiped since its earliest days. In fact, let me read you a bit of a letter I received not long ago from someone who'd read a best-selling New York Times book that attacks the real Jesus. It says, "I was raised in the church and am now 26 years old. This book has devastated my faith. I don't want to be kept in the dark. I want to know what really is going on in the Bible and what I should believe, even if it goes against what I believe since I was a little boy." That's a kind of confusion that's being engendered by this phenomenon of attacks on the Jesus of the Bible. So what I've done is written a new book called The Case for the Real Jesus. And the idea behind this book is twofold. First of all, to respond to the most popular and prevalent attacks that we see in our culture on the Jesus of the Bible. Things like, well, you can't trust what the New Testament tells us about Jesus because the text has been tampered with throughout the centuries. That, of course, was the subject of Bart Ehrman's best-selling book, Misquoting Jesus. We see attacks on the question of the canon of the New Testament. In other words, the books that are included. Why are certain books not in there? Why isn't the Gospel of Thomas in there? And these other Gospels that some liberals claim are equally reliable to the four Gospels we do find in the Bible. What about the resurrection? It's being attacked by Muslim scholars. We saw it attacked in the recent documentary about the Jesus tomb. What about the messianic prophecies? Not only are skeptics attacking those, but even liberal Christians are dismissing those as being predictive about the coming of the Messiah. What about relativism, this idea that you have your beliefs and I have my beliefs, and it's okay if they're different, it's okay even if they contradict each other. Or syncretism, where people blend different belief systems in with Christianity and sort of create their own Jesus. Well, I deal with all of these issues and many more in my book, The Case for the Real Jesus. But I do something else I think is equally, if not more important. And that is, through that process, I build a positive, affirmative case for the Jesus of the Bible. Now, some of you might be familiar with my book, The Case for Christ. You know, that book came out in 1998. And I hope it remains a foundational book about the evidence for Jesus. But as I say, since 1998, we're seeing an increasing number of attacks on Jesus in popular culture. That's why I think it's so important that we equip ourselves with new evidence that responds to those and a fresh affirmative case for relying on the Jesus that we find in Scriptures. So if you are a Christian, I hope this book will strengthen your faith. I hope you'll walk away knowing how to respond to these issues when your non-believing friends raise them. And I hope it gives you an even more solid foundation for what it is you believe. I hope as well that you think of people in your life who don't know Jesus and think, this might be the perfect book to give them to respond to the issues that they're hearing, but also to give them that affirmative case that we can have confidence that the Jesus of the Bible is the Jesus of history. So I look forward to interacting with you through my new book, The Case for the Real Jesus.